Okay, hey, this is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, and this is going to be my second installment on a little video series called Return to Rule of Law. And it's just something I thought up. And as I've said before, with our First Amendment rights comes a responsibility to step out of our comfort zone. And if we have something to say, we need to say it. And the First Amendment is the First Amendment because it's the most important and it really carries the most gusto. When you say something and it's true, it sticks. Now, I know the last video I made on this, I'm going to catch a lot of heat on it. But what I've said there is true, and I'm going to continue with this because there's a lot of little things along the way that if we're armed with them, if we're equipped with them, then we can return to rule of law. First of all, rule of law. What is rule of law? I kind of went into it a little bit in the other video, I think, the first one. The supreme law of the land of the United States is the U.S. Constitution. And I say it every video or a lot of videos, please get a copy of that, download a copy of the Bill of Rights and read through it. Doesn't matter if you're a lefty or a righty it doesn't matter. You won't have a problem with the Bill of Rights. I think a lot of people assume that the Constitution has things in it that it actually doesn't. All right, but so you need to read it for yourself. But the antithesis to rule of law would be tyranny, I guess. And so what I did, instead of giving you my rendition of what tyranny is, I went to the thesaurus, and there's two definitions here, and I'm going to read them. First one is tyranny, a form of government in which the ruler is an absolute dictator, not restricted by a constitution or laws or opposition, etc. All right? The second definition is tyranny, dominance through threat of punishment and violence. Okay. In my case, I'm going to use my case because I know it really well. And a lot of you that started listening to me started listening during the whole feral swine initiative. And if you don't know about that, maybe you should look into it. But in a nutshell, the Department of Natural Resources came up with this they call the declaratory ruling. I know you might be thinking, he's going there again. But you'll like this. I'm sure you'll like this. And in the declaratory ruling, they said that feral swine are bad. And feral swine do this and feral swine do that. They steal cars, they rape old women, they do all kinds of terrible things. They kill baby deer. They've been known to kill children. So they gave you a problem. And then they gave you the solution, is we've got to get rid of any animal that is feral or could become feral. And then they gave a list of characteristics that would help you to identify a feral swine. I'm going through this again because we could take this playbook and we could add a different product into it, or a different place where they want to wind up into it. They could apply it differently to a different situation and get the same results. So, and bear with me, I'm gonna use this in this presentation. Under the declaratory ruling, they had a list of 9 characteristics. And if your pig had even one of these characteristics, they said that your pig is a feral pig and it had to go. Of course, we look up feral pig in the thesaurus, and it's a pig that is not under the husbandry of a human being. So this can't really apply to any body, any person, because if they're feral, that means it's not my problem. So why are you making some regulation to change my behavior, right? But that didn't make any sense to them, or it didn't make any difference to them, because they're not trying to make sense. They're trying to make a regulation that is nebulous. So you don't really know. You don't really know what's going on. And in this declaratory ruling, some of the characteristics, they would say the tail structure. Feral pigs have straight tails, but they also have curly tails. So under tail structure, it's if they have a tail and it's straight or curly, you got you a feral pig. And people scratch their head thinking, well, I just must not be smart enough to understand this, right? And then skeletal appearance. They say, well, a feral pig's skeletal appearance is distinct. But they don't tell you how it's distinct. They just say it's distinct. There's no distinctions given. There's no values given. It's very nebulous. And then the ninth one, which was my favorite, other characteristics not currently known to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources that are identified by the scientific community. Sounds like NASA to me. I mean, if NASA says it's got to be true. Anyway, we've been through this before, but I want to apply this to return to rule of law. Now, how are you going to do that? All right, I think like a farmer, I guess. I keep hearing this battle cry. Drain the swamp, drain the swamp. If you don't know, a lot of wild things are going on in our country right now. And the guy that coined the drain the swamp is making stuff happen. I know he's getting slammed in the media over piddly stuff, but some real live things are happening, and you have to pay attention to it to see it. And the trickle-down effect of this will have an effect on the swamp at the state and local level. It will. It will. So locally here, we're hearing people at the state level saying the same thing. Drain the swamp! Drain the swamp! And like my kids hear that and they're like, what does that mean? What does drain the swamp mean? And I hear it and I think, yeah, I kind of wonder. I kind of wonder what they're talking about. Drain the swamp. So let's pull that apart, and then maybe we can come to a place where it equips us to ask the questions that are pertinent to the people that we elect to these offices that have an extremely huge budget, and with money comes the ability to do things, and they have a huge amount of authority. We vest that in them, and we want them to do the right thing. But how do you know if you're getting the right person? You know, do you want to get somebody that, you know, combs their hair to the right, combs their hair to the left, somebody that loves Jesus, like, you know, Mr. Colbeck? Is that what you want? I mean, how do you figure out what you want? Okay, so we're going to drain the swamp. What is it in the swamp that we're draining? Can you tell me that? If we were to ask Bill Schuette what we want to drain the swamp of, he'd probably say, get rid of me. Get rid of Baker up there. He's throwing stones at me all the time. He's pointing out the fact that I don't keep my oath of office. Get rid of him, because we want to do business as usual down here in Lansing. So get rid of him. Okay? If you ask me what to do to drain the swamp, I would tell you, get rid of him. Get somebody in there that can keep his oath of office, his sacred oath of office. That's what I would say. But I'm going to appeal to you. This little video series that I'm doing might be only five videos, but I'm going to space them out a little bit. But on this one, I'm going to require, or I'm going to ask that I get some input from you. I can only make these 10 minutes, or Mr. YouTube won't take them. I need some input from you. What you want drained from the swamp? What do you want? Who do you want to go in? If you're going to pull the plug on it and all this water is going to flow out of the swamp, what do you want to flow out with it? Tell me that. Help me with that. Help me answer that question. And I think we can go from there. Okay, I'm coming up on 10 minutes. I tell you something. We're all going to need to step out of our comfort zone and do things that we find a little bit uncomfortable. I have no reason to do this. I just care about my country. I happen to be someone who took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. And I think violators of the Constitution are my enemy, and they must be destroyed. So This is my way of doing it. It's Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Anyone can farm. Thanks.